Yeah, I got it. So are you helping people with their websites, improve their websites with AI and search engine
Well, we're using
optimization?
AI to create narratives. We're using it
Okay.
to evaluate the customer experience, to look at the programming code, to make them load faster. So we're using AI to help do tasks that we used to have to hire a designer or a programmer for.
I see. Golly, that's amazing. Okay, I'm gonna go way, way, way back because when I met you, and I'm picky about who touches my stuff. That really sounds terrible. Website. Okay. What really sold me on you? You will never guess. You want to guess just for fun?
No, you just don't know. I don't know. We'll let you tell me.
Oh, is your story, your
Well, thank
growing
you.
up story. Oh, can you share that? I still, when I think of what you did with your young life, it blows my mind, So can you share a little bit of that? That always
Sure.
touches me. I'm not gonna cry, but I'm crying on the inside because I
Well, I
love it.
appreciate that. And for those of you listening, look, I never missed a meal. Yes, I had kind of a rough childhood, but there's always people who've had it significantly worse than me. So just a little disclaimer, I'm not a victim and we're not using this show as therapy. All right, but we can all learn from our mindsets and we can expand it. So growing up, I spent a lot of time in foster care. I was an orphan and kind of was jumping around from house to house. And about 8 years old, I left and started running around at the streets, and I was just on my own. At 12, I found myself in a jail cell, 6 foot by 8 foot, thinking to myself for Grand Theft Auto, and they didn't have the detention center open, so I actually was in the jail. And I was thinking to myself, maybe, Jane, I haven't made the best life choices up to this point. But keep in mind that the only influences that I'd ever gotten before then was running around, carrying a 9mm, acting like a punk, and thinking that was normal, and being told I would die before I was 25. So I wasn't really given the mindset or the ideas that, hey, things don't have to be that way, and didn't have parents to guide me, or my adult figures were not positive, they were negative. And so while I was in jail, one of the guards gave me a cassette program and for those of you watching, because you can Google cassettes, if you're a millennial, you won't know what that is, but we used to carry around a Sony Walkman that had cords and everything. It wasn't wireless, and it was an audio, and it was The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. And so it was the first cassette I'd ever listened to that was positive, and it really changed my life. I wore that cassette out, listening to it over and over and over, about your mindset. And there's a quote, that people have heard maybe that says that once your mind is stretched by a new idea, it never regains the same shape. And that's what happened to me at 15 years old. I was 12 and then got out and started my first business at 15. And I started a painting company. And then that first year in business, in today's equivalents, was sold about $250,000. So here's a kid from the projects that instead of doing bad things to get attention, I learned I could get attention by serving people and helping people. And so that put me on the path of how can I add value, and how can I solve problems, and how can I get paid for it? So I don't have anything against being paid for it. I don't think it's prosperous to be poor. I've certainly been poor. I've made millions of dollars, but I haven't managed it. Remember those 3 modalities? You're either good at marketing, sales. So, if I'd been good managing my money, I wouldn't be on this show with you. I'd be in a beach in Fiji. So again, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. So I can certainly help you get more money, but I'm not the guy that's going to tell you how to invest it and manage it effectively. But so that was really my story. I started as an entrepreneur, and then people started to ask me how I did it. And I had 17 different companies. I've had products that I've invented in sporting goods, automotive, childcare, and I've worked in a lot of different industries. And then when I sold a sporting goods company that I built up to $50 million in sales, gross sales, and 140 some people, then people started to ask me, Jane, well, how did you do that? How did you go from a napkin to a company? How did you go from a startup and grow? Now, since that time, I hear stories of even my clients in startups where, they started and they sold it for $350 million or some huge amount. And I was thinking, I made $50 million and I feel like a pauper. Is that the right word? Pauper?
No, I think I'm still stuck up on that 50 million.
Yeah. So, well, those are gross sales. So gross is not net profit. But the point I'm making is no matter where you are, one of the things I learned years ago is no matter where you are, work with what you have, and you can either be a victim or victor. And I have to remind myself, as much as I'm saying to you this right now, I'm reminding myself I need to do the same thing. I mean, I went to the Olympic Training Center in 1984 and 1987. I was a pro cyclist. Pro has 5 categories, 1 through 5. I was a 2, so I want to be very clear. I was not a 1 like Greg LeMond and Lance Armstrong and other people that were pro at that level. I was a 2. But I went from 168 Jane to 268 because I stopped working out. And so now I'm back down to around 250, but I know how to lose weight, but my life has changed. So I'm responsible. I control the fork. So, I overcome like anybody else, even though I have all these success strategies. And I wrote a book called, Superpower. I guess it's right over here.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. We got that book.
So a superhero's guide to leadership, but that doesn't mean I'm an expert on everything. I mean, it means I understand it and I implement it, but just like everybody else, I'm on that journey and I've learned more from my mistakes. You can learn from your own mistakes or you can learn from other people's mistakes. And it's a lot cheaper to learn from other people. So so I'd encourage you to subscribe to this podcast, share this episode with other people, this broadcast, share it with your friends, comment, and subscribe, because that's why we do this, is to give back and to share some insights. And maybe it's not even an insight that we're giving you having this conversation, but it's something that's a catalyst that makes you think about something, I need to go hug my wife, or I need to go hug my kids, or I need to.
Right now. I was going to say, well, we'll just pause it. Go ahead.
No,